Hey everyone, bloodmako here, and this is my video for the new event that just dropped. Chapter 3. Sorry. Oh my god, I for the life of me I cannot remember these chapters. There's so many of them. There's so many parts of them. There's like part 1, part 2. There's and then I know there's 8 somewhere along the way. Right, there we go. Okay, Act 3, Chapter 8, Part 1, and it is called. Wait, let me take a look. It is loading right now, and it is called Shuddering Shinryu difficulty. Okay, now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk more about this fight. So this fight, I kind of screwed up with I wouldn't say screw up. I think it's impossible to do with my usual team, you know, the Noctis, Zack and Garnet, and that's basically because of the way the force gauge work. If you didn't know, which I didn't know, the force gauge will increase a same number of percentage based on the amount of moves that you do. For example, Garnet using burst and stuff like that. Yeah, it technically should increase the force gauge the same amount. There we go. So the reason why my force gauge is higher is because I think it was Kain that took a turn. So Kain with his force what do you call it? Force enhancement. It actually increases the gauge slightly more than you would normally do without the gauge, without the enhancement. So this is the reason why we are able to basically just spam Penelo's skills and her EX, you know, stuff like that, to just increase the gauge a lot more than the enemy's force gauge. And honestly, it took me a really long time to understand the mechanic about this. So this is why I'm actually creating the video, so that you guys don't have to make the same mistakes as me. I actually did so many runs of this fight to the point where I kind of know exactly what these stupid eyes are gonna do. But yeah, so I sped up the parts where I'm just stalling and you know, force gauging with Penelo, just so that you know, it's not a, I think it's like a 21-minute video, so I cut it down to about 18 plus minutes. So first of all, that was my mistake, where I did not know about the force gauging, and I actually brought Penelo in like without her force enhancements, and then tried to you know, turn stall and increase the force gauge. It did not increase significantly more. In fact, it didn't increase any more than that you will normally use with a normal skill. So basically, for example, if a normal skill increased by 1%, Penelo without her force enhancement will also just increase the gauge by 1%. But with her force enhancement, you can obviously see the difference. It's almost twice as fast. And so yeah, that's the reason why you will actually see a lot of let's call it turn stalling while increasing the force gauge. So let's, you know, turn stalling. So you're gonna see a lot of turn stalling in this FR era, I feel, especially at the beginning of it, where I believe they release a lot of characters that are able to increase the force gauge while not really taking a turn, so to speak. The turn count for this fight is actually 55, so it's actually pretty tight. It could be possible to actually kill the bosses without bringing anyone that has force enhancements, but you have to be very efficient with your turn orders and stuff like that. Because at 100%, the boss will actually do a move. I think it's called like Group Gaze Plus or something like that. And in fact, I think we'll see it in this video as well. I'm pretty sure I left it in. So it actually does a AoE HP attack, which Zack cannot block or absorb for the party members. So I guess this is where World of Light is really good. Not exactly sure if his shield will block it though. I don't think it does. I'm not sure. I haven't really tried the new World of Light, even though, I mean, I've tested it in the Lufinia, but not really in this Shinryu difficulty. So the thing about that is that if your HP drops below 50%, it actually puts paralyze on your party members. And also after that, it seems like whenever I took a turn after that 100% and the boss does that one move, you will have 3 turns where it does like enhance HP damage equivalent to, for those of us that had played in the Lufenia Plus era, is equivalent to a Lufenia or counting down, basically. So it wipe away all your buff and immediately just KO you and ignores all HP mitigation, you know, preventing HP from dropping below 0, stuff like that. So basically, once you see that 3 count and you're not able to kill it, you're not able to go into summon, you're not able to go into burst or force, then yeah, it is really difficult because basically one of your characters is gonna die. Unless they target Kain for some reason, then yeah, then there's a very good chance you'll survive because they'll just miss. It is possible to dodge it, but you have to have like Kain and Freya's perfect dodge. Then I guess that's when you can actually dodge it. So here is one of my mistakes where I went to summon. I actually didn't need to. I could have just used the force with Kain, and then you know, just do as much damage as I can, because you see later on, because I was thinking I'll force and then I'll go into the burst so that I can really maximize the force damage. But at this stage of the FR era, Kain and I think 2 or 3 more of the forces are pretty weak, honestly. So the percentage increases is not as much as what you'll see in JP. So yeah, you might not be able to finish them off in the burst with the force gauge up. So you gotta bear that in mind, because I had to use both force and I still couldn't defeat them. But that was some misplay on my part. What I should have done was go into force without using Alexander. And you also see that they actually tried to attack right here, so I'm guessing it's HP gated. Not exactly sure why. But it also could be prevented, you know, linked to the force gauge, and it was prevented by me using the force gauge. So when you use the force gauge, it actually prevents the enemy from using the force gauge as well. Quite funny, but yeah. And when I say it prevents them, it means that they have actually activated their force gauge and all their and whatever abilities that the force gauge will give to the enemy. Because you see that I stopped taking the HP poison, and later on you actually see that even though they have activated the force gauge, when I activate mine, they actually couldn't do a thing. They couldn't do their one shot with the force gauge being up. It's very similar to a HP silence, but it's just I'll call it a force gauge silence. I think this, yeah, I'm actually gonna burst right here because I saw 7 turns left, and I was like, you know, I should just burst right now, just so that I can really maximize the damage that the force gauge is giving to me. But I failed to notice that the force gauge HP bonus was actually pretty low, and with every launch it was increasing about 15%, 14%, and it would have actually made more sense to actually let the boss take a few turns. I know this is crazy, but yeah, let the boss take a few turns and let Kain's I'm not exactly sure, let's call it off-turn damage over that, because it's not exactly off-turn because it occurs whenever anybody takes an action, but I guess that's the definition of off-turn. But anyway, yeah, so I should have just let the off-turn damage slowly increase the force gauge to well, a way higher amount before I actually went into burst with him, just so that I can, you know, really well, do way more damage in the force gauge itself, in the burst itself. So that was another one of my mistakes. And yeah, honestly, that's it for the fight. As long as you're able to prevent the boss from using their force gauge or survive that force gauge, then you're good to go. Because in terms of health, these bosses are not like crazy tanky to the point where you will definitely need the force gauge. Sorry, the force gauge additional HP bonus. It's just you can feel how annoyingly healthy the bosses are, but it's not like significantly more than the normal Lufenia pluses that we have done. In fact, it feels like the Transcendence stage 9, where the bosses are just super annoyingly tanky, but and we just didn't have the damage to to catch up to it. But again, this is probably because I am doing the force gauge thing wrong. This is my first time actually trying it out, so yeah, this is the reason why I'm playing around with it basically. So yeah, honestly, I could have replaced Penelo with Van. In fact, I should have, after Penelo actually ran out of skills, just so that I can kill the boss faster. But I kind of forgot that I brought a friend support. I was I was under the mindset that I actually went in without any friend support, and yeah, I was like, now that I'm watching my gameplay back, I'm like, oh yeah, I actually have a friend support. Also, yeah, even with the force gauge up, I only managed to do, what was that, 31 million. So not a lot more than what my usual Zack would have done. So yeah, I'm actually not surprised that the bosses actually survived this. So right now I'm actually going to go back into turn stalling with Penelo, just so that I can I can build up the force to the point where I can actually use the force gauge again with Kain. Yeah. So this is the speed up. Yeah. So honestly, that's it. That is the entire fight. The bosses do HP damage while the force gauge is not up, but it is not a lot. It is insignificant to the point where even if you do take hit, right, with Penelo or Garnet or any healer of any form, in fact Warrior of Light, even with Warrior of Light on the party, you should be more than able to heal up whatever damage they have dealt. The only issue, and I can't emphasize this enough, the only issue is actually the force gauge. So yeah, if you can maintain that, you can manage the force gauge, then this fight shouldn't be an issue for you guys. But nevertheless, this is still a very annoying fight. It's basically forcing you to use the force gauge if you don't have any very strong characters, those really broken characters. If you don't have Garnet, they are basically forcing you to bring Kain and using that force gauge, your own force gauge, to silence theirs. The nice thing, there we go, group gaze, no plus, just group gaze. And there we go, Penelo is silenced because her HP actually dropped below 50%. And it's, not silenced, paralyzed for 2 turns. I'm not sure whether you can dodge it with Ignis or with Lena. But it is worth a try. It is worth a try because especially if you're gonna eat that 3-turn. If you're gonna eat the initial hit from the force gauge. Also, right here, I'm not sure exactly why the bosses doesn't take a turn, because in my Noctis run, even though it was not their turn, they actually hit Zack with that Lufinia Orb countdown. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure why this particular run they chose not to attack, whereas for Zack it did. And it could be HP gated, it could be because I didn't have any force gauge, or it could be because I had 100% at the point of time when they did their force move, So yeah, there are a few mechanics that I have to still explore a few more times before I can fully understand, but yeah. Also, right here was where I noticed that often damage increases it by 5%. So if the boss were to take like turns constantly, then it will actually increase more than me just doing a normal skill with any of my party members. Also, for Kain's force gauge, I'm actually not sure what actually will increase it by more than 15. I believe it is HP damage increase when someone does range, additional 5% when it's a range and additional attack, and additional 5 when knockback, so capped at 15%, so it's really not a lot. So it actually makes more sense to let the boss take turns, especially since they're silenced, and then increase the gauge because Kain is doing often range damage. So yeah, I will just constantly be doing 5% more and more and more every time. So yeah guys, I'm just gonna end the well, the voice over right here, and let you guys just watch the fight from here on out, because I didn't do anything special after this. I couldn't even kill them within the 6 turns of the force gauge, but I did manage to finish the fight within 55 turns. So even though I'm not able to finish them off with 2 force gauges, I am still able to kill them. So don't be disheartened if you're not able to kill them within the 2 force gauge. You are still able to finish the fight, even though it might not be as pretty as those 1 turn, 1 force gauge and everybody dies, that kind of video. But yeah, I mean, this is the good thing about this video, is you get to learn all my mistakes so that you don't make them, and also to learn more about the force gauge. So yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Sky